So you want to learn how to play guitar, but you don't know which type to play. This is the video for you. We're going to go over the different types and help inform you on your decision as you start your musical journey. Option 1, electric. We're going to go over the pros and cons for each model. So for electric, a pro or a con, depending on how you look at it, is you have to rely on amplification to really project the sound. So this is what it sounds like unplugged. It's very, very quiet, which if you're very shy in the beginning when you're first learning and you're practicing at home and don't want people to hear you, this is perfect. Nobody's going to hear you if you shut yourself off in a room. But that can also be a con because you need an amplifier to project your sound. The amplifier can really change what your sound is. So here's the same guitar unplugged. Now I'm going to crank up with some distortion. Very different. So the type of amp you get and the type of effects and everything you put on is going to affect how you play and what kind of music you play. You can still play it unplugged just like anything else. So electric is mostly associated with like rock and louder music. That's not the case overall, but in public perception, that's kind of what people think. Right? Just shredding and rock. You know, pick your favorite rock tune. If that's your goal as a musician, is to rock out, this is perfect for you. A pro to electric is that the strings tend to be a lot smaller, a lot thinner, so it's actually easier on the fingers to play. So when you do things that are a little more challenging, like bar chords, where you have to really cramp down like that, it can be easier on electric than, say, an acoustic guitar, which we'll get to in a minute. So you don't need as much effort to press things down if your guitar is set up properly. Okay? Electric guitars can be played with a pick, they can be played with the fingers. There's a lot of things. It's an incredibly versatile instrument. But if a student came to me and said they really want to rock out, you know, this is what you want to go with. There are many different models that you can choose from. This right here is a Stratocaster, but I encourage you to Google different types of guitars. Try and go with this type of music you listen to. Your favorite guitar players, your favorite bands. Look what they're playing and help that inform what you want. You don't want to pick a metal guitar if you're into country necessarily, or blues, or vice versa. So you're going to have to do a little research on the type of model you want, but if you want to be loud and rock out and stuff, this is your option. Okay? Onward to the next one. Option 2, acoustic guitar. Acoustic guitar does not require amplification to have its natural sound. Obviously, if you're playing on stage, you know, and you need to project to an audience, you need an amplifier. But if you're just by yourself, it gets a really nice big sound. So it's less complicated than having to work with an amp and all the electronics in an electric. The acoustic can be difficult for beginners. So the strings are a little thicker generally than electric, and I find for especially really young students, acoustic can be really brutal when they're developing the calluses. It can shred your fingers a little bit more. So if you're sensitive to pain, this is probably not the best option to start with, unless you're willing to like tough it out for the first week or two while you're playing. When I get beginning students, I'll have them put their fingers in the right area, but I don't really require them to press down too much because the average kid will last maybe 5 minutes before they start shaking their hand off and complaining. So just be aware of that. It's a little harsher on the fingers. It's a little harder to do things like bar chords than something like electric. The benefit of acoustic, I think, is some of the stylistic choices in terms of what music you would want to play. So acoustic, in my opinion, does certain things better than electric. For example, if you're playing a bluegrass tune like that, I think sounds better on acoustic. If you're doing just like, you know, country-ish things, has a nice ring to it. If you want to sing and play, this is probably the best option for you. Finger style can sound a little better on acoustic. It depends on what you're going for, but like if you're playing that kind of thing. Those type of tunes are played on acoustic. That's right, I'm playing Stairway. Right? It just has a brighter sound to it, and because it projects all on its own, the sound and what you do with the instrument is really all in your hands. You don't have to rely on an amplifier or anything else. So singer-songwriter, fingerstyle, bluegrass, this is your type of instrument, okay? Onward to option 3. Okay, option 3, a classical or nylon string guitar. There are things that this instrument can do that the other ones cannot. First of all, it has a very different sound. Because it has the nylon strings. Okay. The nylon can be a lot easier on the fingers when you're pressing down. I would say, compared to an electric and acoustic, electric and nylon strings are pretty equal in terms of how harsh they are on your fingers, but I would say nylon is probably the easiest. It's not going to be as painful to start. If you want to use your fingers more, a nylon string guitar might be more beneficial, especially if you're going to grow your nails out, because the steel strings on an acoustic tend to shred your nails, and nylon doesn't do that as much. Okay? So this instrument actually predates both of those other options, and it actually has a history going back hundreds and hundreds of years. So if you're into the history of guitar and an older tradition, this is probably better suited for you. If you're interested in classical repertoire or flamenco or anything like that, a nylon would be better suited for you. So be warned, you don't hold it. If you're flamenco, you hold it like this. You hold it with your legs crossed and everything. But if you're doing classical, you actually have to hold it on the other leg and have a very strict hand position. There's a lot technically going on. So when you're... okay, you have to have your hand elevated at a certain point, your fingers at a certain angle, your thumb position, everything's very specific. There's no better instrument, in the opinion of many, than a classical guitar if you want to do solo guitar playing. Obviously, acoustic guitar playing, there's a whole tradition with it. If you're thinking, you know, Tommy Emmanuel type of stuff. But the amount of repertoire and history and tradition that goes into the classical is something I think every guitarist should explore a little bit. One of the things you can do is play with your fingers when you do scale. Okay, you have these different strokes you can do with your fingers. For example, this is a free stroke. This is a rest stroke. Right? you don't have to learn these right now, I'm just demonstrating. Within those, you can change the angle of your hand to get different tones. So like, you can change your hand position. It's crazy the different options you can get. You have different flamenco rudiments you can do. There's a lot going on. So if you're not interested in the other two options, this might be better for you. Who knows? I encourage you to go to a store, try these out for yourself, think about what you listen to, and good luck. So in conclusion, good luck.